Sure.
All right, it looks like we're live. Flyers season opener came and went. Feelings were had. A lot of things went up and down. Ultimately, they lose the opener in a game I think everybody ultimately feels kind of disappointed in. But before we get into it, Johnny, why don't you just tell me your initial thoughts of the whole thing?
All of it. Okay. Wow, a lot happened.
Just give me like 3 words. How do you feel after this loss?
Lucky to get a point. 5, 6. Math, numbers. Lucky to get a point, honestly. Like that was it was fun to see the last 5 minutes of the third period. Through the first like 40-ish minutes, it was nerve-wracking to watch Carter Hart for a little bit, but other than that, I thought it was, a Flyers game. It was a Flyers game by definition. Stupid penalties, digging yourself a hole that you inevitably get yourself out of, where you complete a comeback, kind of, but not completely. Kind of like, okay, a 75% comeback. That's pretty much where the Flyers are at. That's what they do. That is their thing. That is something that they do. That's something they have been doing the past decade. The half comebacks, and they're really good at that. And I don't think it's going to stop. I want it to really badly for my personal health. But yeah, no, that was a Flyers game, like in all of its glory. Like that is a thing that happens.
Certainly, many moments have felt that way.
That's Natalie? That's more than 3 words, but I'm pretty sure you get the gist.
Yeah, I was pretty happy that they weren't up 4-2 and then blew it. That's what I usually expect.
Other way, yeah, no,
so
honestly,
that was that first period.
Positivity.
That first period was the happiest I have been in a year.
Mm-hmm.
The second period, it was fluky, but I didn't feel like they gave up. In the third period, I fell asleep until the last 2 minutes. Like I'm like sitting there thinking about my weekend plans and whatnot, because G's probably the only person out there who was really giving anything.
A lot of the energy for most of that game, except for the very, very end, felt that way. Yeah. I think you said it right, Tommy. Uh-oh. I thought, you guys still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Johnny's frozen on my screen.
Yeah.
But this you talked about falling asleep for portions of the game or not really paying attention and whatnot. The energy level of the Flyers and most of this game, I mean, the first period was fantastic. Second period was absolute dumpster fire. And then the third period, it was mostly that until the very end. And they had some chances. They were hanging around, but I just thought it was all Vancouver at that point. And they'll play by Konechny at the end to draw the penalty. You could call it a phantom penalty. But they actually cash in on the power play. Konechny cashes in, which felt great. I thought of Jim immediately. It felt like a playoff goal. I did. It felt immediately. And then to actually tie it and get captain to ram it home by all people was like, and then on top of that, in overtime, Carter Hart comes up huge. And
he was like everything we expected him to be in that one overtime period. And that's the most high percentage shots you'll see in a game.
I kind of buried the lead here too, because I did not mention the 4 goals the Flyers gave up in the second period with you could argue how many are on Hart and how many aren't. Ultimately, the results seem to be the same, and that was a problem. And it really, really stunk. I felt so low after that second period. Just about everything could have went wrong, and the ways that like make you worry about the future of the team, not just losing a game. Like I was like, oh my God, Hart, why? Why is it happening like this? I'm tired of arguing whether it was his fault or a bad bounce. It's only so many times. Oh, it's bad bounce. The game's 4-2. Like, come on. And it was why. And now you're thinking head games with Hart. So to see him come out, and you noticed in that third period, Vancouver was shooting at every possible shot that was like an awkward angle. If they could throw it on net, they threw it on net. Didn't matter where it was from, just to mess with them. To his credit, he stood strong. Wasn't really as noticeable in the third, but in overtime, he really, even late in the third, I would say he actually was. But like in overtime, especially, he came up massive, and it was so. They got the point, and we kind of know once they got to the shootout, we were still happy with their overall comeback effort, but they were probably going to lose the shootout, and that they really went out with a whimper there. But to tie it and get to overtime and for Hart to like regain all of his, I won't say all, that was a mistake, misspoke on my part. Regain some confidence for how that second period went, because you definitely saw him do that in the game. I think that was fantastic, but they just fell short of the storybook ending.
Yeah, I mean, even like at the end of the overtime, he took off his mask, talking to the linesman or the ref or whatever, and he was smiling, and you're like, wow, there's still a few seconds to go in this and a shootout. He looks confident. He looks, that 5 minutes there, give him all the confidence in the world.
What I missed? What are we talking about?
Hart still.
What are we doing?
An overview of the whole game. I did have this somewhat happier tone, because I saw a lot of things, even though they lost. There were things that I was going to be worried about for the whole season, mainly one thing. And because they tied it and because they got to overtime, it just showed me something that made me feel a lot better, particularly with Hart. I felt he really bounced back, and he could have really fell to pieces. They killed the penalty to start the third. They didn't give up a goal, really. He was huge in overtime, and it just really late in the game, he came up huge, and they just couldn't get the storybook ending. But I was really, after that second period, thinking Hart, I was having serious doubts. Like, it was like, oh my God, the first game of the season's like this. So Johnny, your whole take on Carter Hart's ups and downs of this game.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the two I really get him for, obviously the fourth one, that's not a great one. I mean, even like as a goaltender, you're taught if you don't know where the puck is, you don't move. You don't move, and he decided to spin on the goal line, and that allowed the puck to be a little bit more free, and then the ref didn't blow his whistle, and then Sanheim obviously just lets JT Miller just poke it right in, as he did on the third goal as well. But the first goal, whenever you get beat one-on-one like that on a shot that far away, obviously that's not great. He was out. I rewatched the replay, and it was like he was at the top of the crease. It looked like he was square. His glove was not out. Like, it was too low, and it was just, he got beat up. It was a great shot, though. I mean, that's just a good shot. But he like I said, anytime you get beat one-on-one, it's not great from especially that distance. I think Vancouver actually did him like a fate. They lobbed him a lot of softball saves early in the third period, and I think he was able to establish confidence at that. They seemed like anytime they were entering the zone, they were just firing it at the net just because why not, right? Especially after that fourth goal. But I think that allowed him to kind of establish himself a little bit. And then he took that confidence into overtime, made that breakaway save on Pettersson, made a backdoor save on Pettersson as well. And he just seemed a lot more composed in that way. And then obviously the shootout, he gave 2 goals, but shootouts suck and they're stupid. They don't have no place in the game. So,
Yeah, no, to talk about the goals, just to mention them real quick. I think I agree with you on the first one. It doesn't look good to get beat. It's a tough shot. I still would have liked him to make the save. Just being honest, he's not just supposed to be an NHL goalie. We're kind of hoping he's like a top 10 NHL goalie. That's like the ceiling. So you like to see signs, and stopping a play like that would have looked real nice. But I'm not going to kill him, obviously, either for giving it up. It's a tough one. I put a little bit more on Yandel, to be honest. It's on Hart, but it's
I was going to talk about that. So like on the first, like the play starts by just a bad play by Nate Thompson, where he goes after Tyler Myers, the puck carrier, in the neutral zone with a flat-footed kind of stick check. Gets beat. Just Myers, because he's got such a long reach. Tyler Myers does. He's so big. Goes right around him. Easy entry into the zone. An easy pass to the wing because if you look at the replay, the 2 wingers, Willman and Knack. The 2 wingers both end up on the same wing. They're both on the left side of the ice. Willman is stick checking, I guess, the second forward on the attack, or the second forward on the attack. And then Knack is just sitting there with his stick just at his waist, just not doing anything on the left side. And that leaves the right side completely open because Thompson's still in center. So that's where the breakdown happens, essentially. But what happens is Myers continues towards the net, and then he kind of stick checks Yandel, kind of sets a pick play where Yandel can't get out and like attack the shooter, basically. But still, like you said, that's a far enough shot out where Hart essentially should make that save. It was a great shot. And like I said, anytime you get beat one-on-one, it's not really – it doesn't instill confidence that, for the rest of the game, which I guess kind of happens later on. But, yeah, that's one you'd obviously like to have. But that's where the breakdown essentially happens, is when it starts with Nate Thompson being over-aggressive in the neutral zone.
Right, and with the Yandel block, yeah, that did look like they could have had some interference there. Natalie, your thoughts on the first goal, or the first bad goal?
I think we were trying to give Hart too much credit for letting that by him. A lot of people. You have to. He have many great opportunities to make saves, and that was one opportunity where he could be a great goaltender. And I agree there. It's just you have to make that. You don't have to, but if you're an elite goaltender.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even characterize that as an elite goaltender save, really. Like, that's just a one-on-one shot from the circle.
Just,
I mean, that's
if you're gonna be next level.
That's not right. Like, that's not even like an elite level save. Like, that's just a save. Like, that's just one where you just got to square up. Make sure your hands out, make sure you're aggressive, don't go down too soon, which he committed to the butterfly a little bit too early, a little prematurely, but I mean, that's just like you said, Matt,
when he sees like no one in front of him and a wide open shot, like
maybe he's got PTSD
he's
from last year.
To it from last season.
Exactly, he's used to Phil Myers either collapsing in on him into his crease or just having absolutely no one abandon, or just have everyone abandon the slot. That's two options.
Because then there was so much open ice in overtime, and he was stopping all. I mean, because there was more shots for him, but.
Right. I mean, personally, I expected him, when I look back at the replay, I expected him to be like halfway into his crease, because, I mean, like when you have like a one-on-one shooter like that as a goalie, you don't know, and if you don't trust your defenders, you don't quite know that the pass isn't still an option for them to cross it across ice for a backdoor play either. So I expect him to be a little bit more back into the crease. It was good that he was out and aggressive and square to the shot. Didn't help him make the save though, but. I mean, that was at least good to see that he was still, aggressive. But that, like I said, it's kind of moot when you don't make the save. It's kind of an important part of the job, the description.
I'll say
Brizgalov wouldn't agree, but
I'll just say this on the shot. It's like, because I get what everybody's saying, and I guess where I lie with it is, there's so many goals that go in that all of us are ready to defend Hart. And rightfully so most of the time. Like, that's on the defense. That's a bad angle shot. That was unlucky, bad bounce, whatever. You get this opportunity, and yeah, it's a little tough where it's you and the shooter. There are no excuses. You're squared up. You're good to go. You want to see him make that save so it validates all this defending I do on the other end when he gets screwed, and I'm not going to kill him his first game of the year, but like I really wanted to see him make that save. And I think he kind of made a similar save in overtime though, which is where I think he redeemed himself and really stood up for this team in overtime. But yeah, for the first goal, it's tough shot. It's one of those goals. You should be able to come back from something like that, which takes me to the next goal. I mean, there's not much to say here. It was a bad bounce. I love how it hit off both of his skates and went in.
I was literally going to mention that. If you didn't, literally it went off both of his skates.
I mean, it really had to ping ball in to screw us, but it did. And I don't know. I don't have much else to add on that. So if you want to, before we move on to the next goal, so go right ahead.
I mean, just like I said, just like looking at the play, like holistically, like it's like you see Couturier and Provorov both go for the shot block, and neither of them get a piece. Did the puck? No, I don't think that either of them blocked it. I think it just hit the outside of the net, caromed off the boards, and went back, hit a skate, right? Yeah, I don't think Provorov got a piece of it. But both go for the shot block. Both overcommit a little bit. That leaves also like a Vancouver Canuck to be alone right in front of Carter Hart too. So I don't know if he was screened and not seeing the puck, if it caromed back. Maybe that's why he was delayed. But like I said, like that's not one that's fully on Carter Hart, but you do want to see his tracking of the puck a little bit better. Like just the way he sees it. Like you said, like he's got three buys in front of him. He's got Couturier, Provorov, and then the forward that's left alone right in front of him. So
you got to get the speed over though. I mean, you got to get against the post there. I mean,
right. But like I said, like as like a goal, like you're trained to like recover back to the post a little bit quicker, like I said. So you're right in that. But like it's tough when you have a guy like Pedersen who's got one of the hardest shots in the NHL and it caroms that quickly. Like that puck had to bounce off perfectly off the carom to hit like his skate like at such a weird angle too. Like it's just like, like Pedersen takes the shot, it bounces like off the side of the net, off his skate. Like it happens within like a split second. Like that's so tough to track it from like that distance because he wasn't that far out. He was far out enough to where maybe like you can make an excuse to where he should track it a little bit better. But still, like that's tough when you have those 3 obstacles in front of you too. So that's a difficult one. I don't think he necessarily should have been on the post at that point because that's just kind of unreasonable to ask. Maybe the best Vasilevsky and all them can do that quickly tracking. But I mean, I'm more so concerned with the first and fourth goal as opposed to that one. That one's just fluky.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, Natalie, anything else on that?
No.
Yeah, that
didn't bother me all that much.
Right, and if this goal wasn't that forgivable or was forgivable, the next one I think is even more forgivable. To be honest, I think he makes a great save initially, and then it doesn't. It's not like he buries the rebound. The puck was actually going out. Somehow hits his skate, and simultaneously both players think the puck's to the right. Well, Hart was really getting like his face pushed up into himself, and it just slowly squirts right in. I'm like, I don't even know how you can blame Hart for this one. You guys see?
Well, how can you when you have when you have Braun and Sanheim doing absolutely nothing in front of him? Like when the way Braun approached the guy with the puck before he passed it, he was like open like the Golden Gate. Like he was just like this. His legs were wide open. He was like, I'm pretty sure there wasn't even anyone down low off to Braun's. I don't know what he was trying to defend because he was like the pass went through him and it still got to the back door. Sanheim not even stick checking whoever scored that goal. And then they let him get like 2 to 3 digs at it. Yeah, he's going to score. Like, what do you think? He's got no defense in front of him on that one. That one's tough. That was not on Carter Hart, but it was also a 5-on-3, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, that's true too.
But still, that was just so bad.
Didn't mention yet about the second period was how they just completely forgot how to play disciplined hockey for a little bit there, taking penalty after penalty. I remember seeing the too many men one. I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. Are you guys serious? It's 2-1. Like, what the hell is going on?
Right after Provorov lifts one over the glass, and then
come on. Then I thought they did it again. I'm like, they're gonna have 6 minutes worth of penalties here.
Then TK took a bad one, and then Willman took an awful one at the end of the set, and it was just like, oh my God, it's happening again. Literally everything that went wrong last season's happening again. That's why I had a meltdown. That's why I was mad. I'm better now, though, because after those 2 goals that we scored at the end, we're good now.
Well, we'll get there.
We were not good for a while. I was unwell. I was anti-good.
Yeah, no, it definitely felt some lows there. So Natalie, anything on that other goal?
No, that was... You just have it was 5-on-3. I have no problems with. You just got to be stronger in front of the net.
It's a 5-on-3.
He's not the person who's not strong in front of the net.
Well, speaking of strong in front of the net, that takes me to my 4th goal, where this was like a slap in the face. It just felt like at the time that was probably the lowest I had felt. Except for when I originally thought it just went in normally and he missed it.
I felt better after the first shot didn't initially go in.
Right? I think we all did.
It was better. As long as Pedersen didn't get credited with that goal and it was JT Miller, I felt very much better. Not good at all. Awful, actually. Very, dirt low, in the graveyard.
I feel like there were awful. 2 reactions.
But
2 reactions.
Better. Better. It's not good, but it's better.
The 2 reaction from the people who like Hart were probably like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, you know what? Okay, well, it's kind of not his fault. The difference, you feel better. And the haters are probably just like, I knew it. He's terrible. I was telling you forever. And, well, it's still really bad. No, come on. He can't be doing that. And I just saw Clitter just collide with that. It was just he should have done more versus the whistle should have been blown. Where do you guys sit? Should it have been blown? It didn't move.
I had 1 foot in each camp. My initial reaction is that whistle's should have been blown just because he was under it for I think a good 2 seconds, but then he was like, why would you spin? You're not supposed to move if you don't know where the puck is. Like that was just, and then he just like he kicked, and then I saw like if I saw like the angle that the ref was seeing, where he like it was like kind of under his toe but still a little loose, then yeah, like then that's a free, then that's a fair play, like that's a goal, like
yeah. I didn't
like,
think about blowing the.
I was
whistle
okay.
there.
I thought there should have been initially, like I said, but like you can't spin out of that. Like that's just like and that just goes to show how he just struggled to track the puck well tonight, which isn't great, but.
Like it's weird because it seems like he moved pretty well tonight. He just had some awareness issues. You know, I thought he looked better than he has in the past. You know, just moving his body a little bit, but like he had that confidence and he wasn't.
Yeah, no, laterally I think he moved well. Laterally, I think he moved pretty well tonight. But like, yeah, it was weird because like laterally he did well. Like all the extra saves like that. You know, an elite goaltender would make, he would kind of made those. It's the ones that the normal goalies should make that he just didn't.
But like that fourth goal,
which fits into Philadelphia hockey to a T.
You felt like you're like playing in a rec hockey game and your goalie didn't show up and like, oh, someone's got to go in there. It's like, okay, I'll go in. I've never played before, and that's what it felt like.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like him, just scrambling.
He's in there with all the skater gear, trying to like learn how to hug a post, but he just doesn't know how. He just stands up, just doesn't even know what he's doing. Yeah.
Shades of late Steve Mason in his time in Philly. A lot of that went on. A lot of that shenanigans. The goals.
I only remember the good Steve Mason.
That's interesting. That's.
I only selectively memorized.
I wish I had that power.
That's such the wrong word that I just used.
He's another guy I defended early in his tenure that made me bite.
As you should. He was fine. Steve Mason was great with us, except for like the last series, like except for the Capitals series, but which everyone loves to remember because it's the only time we made the playoffs in the past 10 years, but it's fine.
I loved him in 2013, 2014 for sure. I definitely did. And the play started to trail. Yeah, there it is. You got your first one. See, Johnny, you asked for that one. Well, I guess I could put on a thing here. But let's not go down. Let's not go down that road. So yeah,
you had it primed up.
I didn't write that.
Oh, is that Jim?
Yeah, that's somebody. I don't control the Flyers HW account.
I thought you literally had that primed up when you mentioned Steve Mason, just because you knew what the angle that I was going to take at, and then you just posted that just to dunk on me.
I did all
but
that.
If Jim did that, then that was just unkind. That's just rude.
Yes. So
it's mean to people.
So anyway, shades of Steve Mason. Hate to see that. We're looking for answers with the replay. Either way, it's a goal. They're down 4-2 now. Didn't mention their goal. Cam Atkinson, who I thought played pretty well tonight. I'd love to see him shooting. So before we get to the third period, why don't you? There was a really nice first period, which you kind of just quickly glossed over. What good?
Yeah, the good part. We don't like to talk about good here.
What good did you guys see? Natalie, I'll start with you. Since before the Flyers' final push at the end of the game, what good could you take from before those last 2.5 minutes?
I thought in the first period you saw 4 lines working. They're working together, and you felt it was one whole unit. I think earlier today on some show, AV said, we're going to come out, and we're going to come out fast. And that is exactly what they did. They came out fast. But, I guess they can only sustain that for one period. But still, you see that you have the talent there, and you see you have the ability to work completely as 4 lines that are – have served their own purpose. The second one probably more exciting than the others. But, and the defense looked great. I mean, God, Ellis and Provorov, they're going to make such a difference this season. They are, you see it already, because even in the 4 goals in the second period wasn't their fault. It wasn't their big problem. It was weird, fluky thing. So, but it's solid.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, no, I wrote in the first period that was the best, I think, first shift and first period we had in the last 8 years. Just because we were on them from the first shift, and we sustained that pressure through the first 5 minutes. And like I was just like, this has never happened. But is this a start of something great? And then the second period happened, and then I just wanted to fall off a cliff. But the first period, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, that was great. It was really good.
First
really
period
good.
reminded me of a time before Vigneault, before Fletcher, before Hextall, before Hackstall, like Holgram.
Are you hinting at Peter Laviolette's
well, maybe not that quite back that far. I wouldn't go that far. Just Craig.
Wait,
Berube.
what do you mean? Oh, I was trying to say, wait. I was trying to do the math.
Yeah,
on
I'm not saying Stanley Cup or
like
anything
Scott
like
Gordon.
that. I'm not saying Stanley Cup or anything like that, but like more structured team that, you know, they weren't quite there yet, but they didn't act like that. And it was amazing because to see every game, not just the opener, like every game, the Flyers come out flat. Sometimes they would come away with the lead, but like the energy wasn't there. And to see this and to take the lead, it was like, wow. Made me feel right about a lot of things, and I was just like, "This is great." Like, I can't think of much I disliked, but boy, did they give it their all in their first, going into that second. I mean, we talked a lot about the goals and Hart's play. We talked about the penalties a little bit, but I think the overall energy level just took a nosedive, and it pretty much did until 5 minutes left in the third period. What would you guys say?
Right on time, baby.
Yeah.
Better late than good, or better late than never.
You're okay with that? Yeah.
I mean, thank God, you know, PK drew that penalty, because who knows what have happened. Maybe there would have been no.
That's a good point.
That pumped me up. That pumped me up because not only did he takes the penalty, but then he gets the goal. Like if you're that guy, he took
and his celebration too. Like that's vintage. Yeah,
that got the crowd going, and then
that got me going.
They got that game to overtime, and the clock hit 0. I have not heard the crowd off the TV like that in a long time. They were loud.
No, I've heard it, but we were just booing. But like, cheers, cheers. Yeah. That was good.
I was happy. It was amazing. I was like, I cannot believe they tied that game. That was fantastic. But
that was vintage Giroux too.
Yes, it was.
Literally calling it off the boards, and that literally calling a shot.
What a pass by Couturier! My God, what instinct!
But did you see the replay where Giroux's just banging on the glass, like just passed it off the boards, and then he just placed a perfectly placed shot? Like they've rehearsed that like 2,000 times.
It looked like he just snuck in too. Like the hole just closed. Like,
it was beautiful. It was just
oh my God, timing, everything.
It was like a bow on top. It was beautiful. It was great.
Fantastic.
But that's like also something like everyone, like out of the 4 goal scorers, those are like 4 guys you really want to score. You want Giroux to have, like, you don't know how he's going to do with the contract. Obviously, that's the least of the worries, but like, aside from Carter Hart, obviously, like everyone you want, like you saw Yandel play pretty well, especially in the offensive zone. Ellis played well. Atkinson, obviously, Farabee scores, TK getting a goal. And then Giroux getting on the score sheet in a contract year, like that's big. Those are the 4 goal scorers. It's not like you have like, Knack scoring a goal. Like obviously that's great, but like you want your goal scorers getting their feet wet early, which is good. So I was happy with that. I don't want to make it negative and see who I didn't like, but I mean the one that that's the conversation. The one that's like standing out to me is just Sanheim, and
that was the last thing I wanted to talk about before we went into overtime. But Natalie, you before we get into Sanheim, and maybe it's part of it, your take on the 2 goals, I guess it wouldn't be part of it, the 2 goals that tied the game for the Flyers to send that game to overtime.
My take?
Like what went through your mind?
What went through my mind?
Let us know. Welcome us in. Make us family.
Did you write them off already?
Literally take our hands and baby
already. No,
step us through your mind.
Well, first of all, I was very angry that play was stopped when it was someone like Coots was in the slot.
Somebody on I couldn't even remember. Is that was the penalty? Yeah.
The penalty.
Because they thought it was the Flyers.
And so I was just sitting there angry. But I think because it was Konecny who scored, I knew something was going to happen.
Yeah, when he's getting on the score sheet, something magical's got to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It was more confusion, which was like the tail of the game, unfortunately, because of goofy goals and whatnot. So, but anyway, Flyers get the puck plays whistled dead. Then I thought it was a no call. I was like, why? They weren't sure, and now they're just going to do a face
Are they
off.
going to take it back? Is this goodbye? Like, is this?
I really thought they were just going to take a face off and move on with the game. I was like, great. But then I see the replay, and I'm like, and then we get lucky there because the puck hit his face first. The stick kind of did, but they didn't have to call that, and they still did. And then to see him score and finish it like that because he was really faking it too. He's really holding his mouth like, oh my God, I'm so hurt. Like, what the heck? Give me this
really
penalty.
Good.
He really selling it. Like, give me this penalty, and they did. And to see
Christopher Walken,
because there's so much talk about connecting right now. You go back to the playoff performer thing. You go back to down year. Oh, his wife was, or his girlfriend rather, was pregnant, and there was all COVID and all that stuff. This guy needs to get going. He's supposed to be a huge cog this team is building around, like not the centerpiece, but a big cog nonetheless. There's a lot of pressure on Konechny coming in. To see him get them going in the third period, draw that penalty, and get the goal to bring them within reach where pulling the goalie seemed realistic. They were really feeling it after that, and they managed to tie it. I think that was huge for Konechny with a guy facing a lot of criticism.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was going to put it in writing and tweet it out, like maybe like 5 minutes before the comeback. I'm like, no, I really haven't heard much from the top line this whole game, like offensively. And I was just like, well, that kind of sucks because but the second line was really good. But like at the same time, it's good that it was the top line that got the last 2 goals there. So I'm glad I didn't put it in writing so people can't yell at me. I'll just say it verbally on a recorded podcast where everyone can see it and say forever.
But you just needed like one good thing to happen in that period to wake everyone up. And as soon as you have that one good thing happen, it did wake everyone up. Until
that goal, there just, I don't think there was a good thing. You know, they were maybe a couple of weak chances. No, I was hoping when they killed that penalty, they would get the momentum at that point to start the period. And
wouldn't even know they killed a penalty at the beginning of the period.
That's what I'm saying. And they killed it, which was step one. You know, game doesn't get out of hand at that point, but then you get that confidence. And it looked like it just wasn't there the rest of the third period until that whole Konechny, back and forth. And then to see Giroux, the captain, as you were saying, and him not, all I'm thinking about now is his contract. He just popped in my head. Like he's going in, unsigned. He's going in unsigned. That whole thing. I just read about if he goes anywhere else, it'll be Ottawa. So it's like everything's in my head. But I'm like, you know what? He's still our captain. He still tied the game.
We're thinking that we're so Philadelphia fans are just so trained to think of the worst things possible when given the opportunity.
Well, just remember,
and we were thinking this after 50 minutes of hockey into the first game of an 82 game season.
That second period will make you think that.
What the hell is wrong with us?
I think after the second period,
that second period really killed because that
was horrible. It was so bad for Hart and his future.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The
negative thinking is about the future.
I mean,
is there
the Atkinson brought me back. Like I was with you. But when Atkinson scored, I was like, all right, like okay, cool.
And then Hart gives
Nate Thompson almost scored.
Then Hart gives Nate Thompson almost scored. I was like, you might someone's
Atkinson gave me
call a rapture if Nate Thompson scores on a shorthanded breakaway. But, I mean, it was good, and then I was like, okay, they bring me back a little bit.
But that's
and then the Carter Hart goal happens, and then I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll just go to bed now. I guess that's cool. And then the third period starts, and for 10 minutes, you're just like, this team doesn't even realize they're down 2 goals. There's just no sense of urgency. But I didn't really think anything of it because I'm like, it's what we've been watching the past 3 years with the no sense of urgency when they're down. And then obviously when Konechny scores, I was like, here we go again. Here comes the 75% comeback where they get everything but the last goal. They fight their way back and give you false hope. And after that, I'm not gonna lie, after the Konechny goal, I was fired up a little bit, but at the same time, I'm just like, okay, that's not a 1 goal loss, goal differential. That's good. And
you weren't believing yet. Okay.
No, I was not. I was 100%. Why would I?
It's hard to,
history repeats itself.
It's hard too because it was what felt like an individual effort where we needed to see the team effort, but they came around.
Yeah, I was like, okay, TK's celebrating. I was the biggest thing on my mind there was, okay, we're gonna lose this game in regulation. and TK got a goal, which is really, really good for the first game. That's where my head was like, okay, TK scored, something positive takeaway. We still have to worry about Carter Hart. But I'm glad the game went to overtime too, obviously besides the obvious, because that gave Carter Hart a lot of confidence with those saves on Pedersen too in overtime. Like, that's huge, I think, going forward, that he had the opportunity to kind of redeem himself a little bit. He didn't – I mean, obviously you can't redeem yourself after a couple bad goals, but, like, you can build confidence on the saves after.
Right, and before we get to overtime, I want to get, because we're at almost 35 minutes now, Travis Sanheim. You talk about the team being weak, being soft in front. I think Travis Sanheim is right back to that shit list. A lot of people
was he ever off it for you?
Well, the season ended, so I guess.
What gave you any ever since the Islanders series 2 years ago? What gave you any purpose to take him off the list? No growth, no strength.
Just the
weak
season
on the stick, lack of offense creation. Like, it's just, like I'm begging on my knees for him to give me a reason to believe in him again, and it's just not happening. It's just not happening. Like, I wanted to so badly, and it's only one game. Like I said, I'm like literally just being a hypocrite, because I literally just said, okay, 81 more games left in the year. But oh my God, it's just I'm tired of the same routine from him. I really am, and I don't know if that's going to get better or worse with Ristolainen next to him. We have to see that still.
Well, that's what I was thinking tonight. If he had Ristolainen next to him,
just give me a reason. Give me a reason to believe in you, Travis. Show me something. Welcome me in. Make me your brother. Like, I want to, like, take my hand and lead me to all of your greatness. Please give me a reason to believe in Travis Sanheim.
Natalie, your thoughts on Sanheim's overall play tonight, particularly that second period?
He has to get tougher. And like, I only like Sanheim when he occasionally has a great play on offense, and I shouldn't feel that way about.
Only happens on 3-on-3 overtime.
Yes, and I should not feel that way about a defenseman. So I just feel
that's a good point too. Like, that's
like,
literally.
But the thing is, like, during the preseason, I kind of liked him with Risto. So maybe we'll see something different. But him with Braun tonight, like I don't know.
Seems to be the same old with Sanheim. One play early in the third after he had that debacle of the second period and then that last goal. One of the first plays I see is just him flat on the ice, and he sits up and tries to make that like short play to get the puck out. I'm like, there he is. Somebody touched him. He's down again. I got the second period is fresh on your mind. That was if anybody sticks out in the negative, it's for sure definitely Travis Sanheim. And right at I mentioned to you guys this off air, but in overtime, they didn't really have enough time left to do anything. But you still hope they like accelerate and just take a shot. And he's coming in 4 seconds left. If he'd have really rushed it, he could have done something, I guess. He just decides, now we're going to do a shootout, which to me was like, let the air out of my balloons a little bit.
Fans didn't like it either. I wasn't
him.
The thing is,
back to the bench. It's like you guys don't do good in shootouts. You guys got back into this game by going for it. Why would you go to protect? Like,
I didn't overreact at that. I wasn't really mad at that because like there were 4. It's not like they had an odd man rush. There was 3 skaters in front of them with 4 seconds left, and they were all flat footed. How much he was gonna do with 4 seconds anyway? That's why I was like, he circled back. He shouldn't. I was about to say like he should have shown up. He should have. Would that would have made you happy, Jack? Would that would have made you happy? A little flick on net.
Anything.
Maybe like a little Dave.
For how the rest of this
Dave
game
Christian.
went.
It was a little Dave Christian circle.
Hey, we're done. We're done. And that's exactly how the shootout went.
Yeah, like Dave Christian in the 1980 Miracle on Ice, literally with like 4 seconds left, literally just get it on net. Kicks out a rebound. Mark Johnson scores. The Miracle on Ice would have never happened if you throw that puck on net. So there.
It's better. Anything's better than just giving up. All right, we're done. We're gonna go to a shootout.
And the way he did it too, it just looks so effortless. It looks so casual, which made it look so worse. Like, it's not like he went in like baited it out. No, he just like literally just did like a little weak crossover circle.
We give up.
The optics were a lot worse. But like I said, I'm sticking to
everything. That's why the crowd booed.
Sticking to what I said. I'm sticking to what I said when I said it was
Natalie,
4 seconds left.
Are you? Am I crazy?
No, I mean you're not crazy, but like Johnny, didn't bother me. You're not
Yeah,
crazy.
like
for
everyone was
saying that,
pissed off. Like
The
Jack's
momentum was
Jack's
gone.
tweeting expletives. What the
They,
was he doing? I'm like, there was
no,
4
was it
seconds
the-
left. He wasn't gonna score.
No,
You don't have
probably
Gretzky
not. But it's
weaving
a
through
metaphor
3
for how the game
skaters.
went. Were they going to tie it? No, probably not. But
At that point, you were looking for something to be angry
perfect
about.
metaphor for how they
You
were
were
playing.
looking for something to be angry about. You were looking for any excuse to be pissed off, and it just happened to be San Jose.
No, I really wasn't until the second period. Then I was like, yo, dude, like, come on. Like, now I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt if I see something like this.
Now we're going all the way back to the second where we're talking about the last 5 seconds of overtime. We're talking about the last 5 seconds of overtime.
Guys weak in front, and it's just like, come on, dude, you're always on your ass. Like, when are you going to show me the skill that I'm, again, protecting you, like with Hart, protecting you for? Has more soft play, more bad play, could have actually muscled the guy off the puck on that last goal, which that almost sent me into a full-blown depression, that last goal. So to see him in overtime, kind of,
keep talking about the last goal.
I'm already not happy with him. I'm already not
move
happy
on. We got a point. No, but I will double down, triple down, quadruple down. Like, my take on Travis Sanheim, I could care less if he's not the physical presence that everyone wants him to be. If he's a confident puck-moving defenseman that contributes offense, that's good enough for me. If he's literally like a first-year ghost, that's good enough for me. And he sucks on defense, fine. Just produce one way or another. He's not producing anything.
I don't want another ghost.
Yeah.
No.
I don't care what you want. I don't care what you want, Jack.
No more.
I don't care.
No more. No, don't.
Give me a confident puck moving Travis.
I would rather see Ghost of Sanheim out there. I'll say that.
That's now we're in a weird paradox.
Yeah.
Literally, just give me a confident puck moving, a confident puck moving defenseman.
So, Natalie, are you saying that his ceiling is Shane Gostisbehere?
I think Shane Gostisbehere has a higher ceiling than Travis Sanheim.
I did this.
If you'd rather see Ghost than Sanheim, then there you go.
Yes. I don't think Sanheim has a great ceiling at all.
Poor man, Sanheim, I was.
Everything that we need to see.
This is literally so bad that I did this. It was my fault that I even mentioned his name. If I mention Ghost around Jack, this is what happens. It literally leads to just mayhem discussion. Literally the spark in the powder keg. It was a bad play by me. It was a turnover by me to even bring up Ghost because you just go down the rabbit hole.
It's not going to die.
Jack,
it's going to be brought up like every single game.
No, well, we just got rid of him too, so there's a lot to see what happens this season. So
it's not like he's with the team anymore, so I guess that makes it a little bit better.
We're being dramatic here, obviously, with Sanheim.
We're
being dramatic, obviously, here with Sanheim, but
it's better to be dramatic. It's more entertaining.
And I think with the entire stadium booing that they weren't happy with it. That's all I'm saying. And his overall game that night, not very good. Is that
there's a lot of drunk people on opening night, Jack?
Am I shutting the book on the guy? No, but he did just sign a contract too. So,
I'm just at overtime. Opening
it's not
night,
a big. I'm making
a lot of boozed up, fired up fans. That's all I'm saying. They don't know what they're doing. You should be more rational.
Those guys in the stadium didn't seem.
I mean, he's not the only person to blame in overtime. We let them have control of the puck the entire time. Why are you just focusing in on Sanheim?
No, because the overall overtime was what was left of them in the third period, and then it tilted back towards Vancouver, which is where I thought Hart came up big. I was overall satisfied, and it is an over dramatification of it, but. At the same time, it was a perfect metaphor for the game.
Is that a word? That's a great word.
It was a perfect metaphor.
Is that a word? Over dramatification.
You know what I meant, though, didn't you? You didn't you?
That's a
whether it is or not.
Did you see the look on my face? I was amazed. That was awesome.
It doesn't matter because you knew what I meant.
That was great. No, I know. Like you were so confident saying, I'm like, that might be I was gonna look it up, but then I just couldn't find the energy.
I'm surprised I pronounced it correctly. That's what I was worried about, but I got through it.
I couldn't even do it. It was great. Good for you.
Anything else that besides Sanheim at the last 3-second mark that you noticed in overtime?
That we've been talking about for 10 minutes and probably lost all the viewers.
Yeah, we got
No, what we already covered. That was hard.
There was a 4 minutes and 56 seconds left of the overtime we had to cover as well. Now, outside of Hart standing up huge, really good, better for the next game in the future of the season than it was that game. Obviously kept them alive, but I was starting to get worried about his overall mental state, and that was exactly what he needed in that moment to come up big, really keep him in the game. And I mean, other than that, I can't think of a few typical scoring chances. I think Lawton and a couple of other guys got left out there for quite a while and managed to clear the puck. They were tired.
Yeah, a lot of Lindblom were out there forever.
Right.
Well, Tom made a great point, like in one of the chats. He made a very, very good point where it's like, what's it called? How the league shouldn't, the long change in the overtime shouldn't be a thing. And I wholeheartedly agree with it. And that was such a good point. I thought of it like before he said it. I was like, what's it called? Because it makes so much sense. Like you're keeping like a team's pinning, what's it called? Like the same three players like in the ice for like 4 minutes. Or potentially, and they're just not creating any offense. Like I'm pretty sure when they created 3-on-3, the league wanted more offense, more 2-on-1s, more odd man rushes. When you like idly sit there in the offensive zone, play with the puck, work the perimeters, that's not exactly what they were envisioning.
Well, it's funny. I feel like it backfired on them. I feel like they had tired players hemmed in their own zone that you think that they would really attack and finish the game, but they just skate out to center and they regroup. They do it too often because they just don't want to give up the puck. So I think it had a counter effect. So I'm in agreement of swapping it back for that reason.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
And anything, I mean, that's the game, folks. I mean, overtime shootout. There wasn't much to add. We elected to shoot first.
Giroux's move would have been really filthy if he pulled that off. If he didn't lose control of the puck, Giroux's move would have been awesome.
If he did,
it seems like we talk about that a lot. The almost moves.
The whole team's almost like I felt like if he'd have done that move a little bit earlier too, like he would have had more space to just be. He wouldn't have to be so quick getting back to his forehand. But either way, come up short. We give up 2. We don't score 2. It's like, okay, well, we really went out with a whimper after that amazing comeback and strong OT from both sides, from the offense and from the goaltending. And then it comes down to the shootout. Just they were done. Game over. I mean, did we really expect much?
After 2 shots, go home.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, am I missing something, or just bad luck? We're just not good at it. And did you guys think we had a chance of winning that shootout, honestly, or did your chart on whether you think the Flyers are going to win the game or not drop dramatically?
I was just happy to get a point. Honestly, I was after we came back, I was like, we got a point. We didn't deserve anything this game. Chalk it up to Monday. Crack it.
Yeah. I thought Hart was so hot that maybe we would get to like 4 or 5 shooters, and
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd stop
one of them. I thought he would have stopped one of them, and I was really hoping that first one, but the whole time they're just talking about how crafty and smooth Pettersson is, and he did. That's exactly
he's so good, though.
I thought he might get the second one, keep him alive. The Flyers have been coming back all game. They tie it up, whatever. But nope, it didn't even look like it was that hard. He slam dunked it on him. It was kind of like, all right. Well, at least we got a point at that. I'll take it from where things were at the end of that second period.
Yeah, absolutely. And through most of the third. I mean, that game was destined to be like a 5-2, empty netter at the end of the game.
I mean,
I agree.
Opening night game, it was a good game though. You got to say it was ups and downs for sure, but the ups were great. And if you hung in there and watched the game, you were rewarded at least a little bit. At that point,
I was going to say, if you watched the whole game, you were 100% rewarded in the last few minutes.
We're almost going to go an hour here, so I'll wrap up. Anybody want to throw out some 3 stars for tonight's game? Just
3
Flyers. The Flyers.
3.
Who are your 3 Flyers that stood out in a good way the best?
Farabee, Atkinson. Either Ellis or Yandel. So I'm going to go Yandel. I'll go Yandel.
Couturier as well, but for the whole game, I can't Yandel. I didn't like him on that first goal. I know he was kind of interfered with, but I still wasn't too happy with that. But he definitely.
I mean, that's a 6'8" Tyler Myers. Like that's. Go back and watch the replay and see him try to work around him. Because that's I know. It was a pick. It was interference. Like it was interference. It was a pick. It was pathetic.
Yeah,
and there was no, and you had two wingers on the left side of the ice with Nate Thompson in center. That's like not a defensive breakdown. I wouldn't characterize a defensive breakdown, or like obviously it's a defenseman breakdown. It's a forward in the defensive zone breakdown.
I didn't like it, but
from our fourth line, I'd like a little bit more defense on that play. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
we're not going back to that. We've talked over the same subjects for like 50 minutes.
So
back and forth.
Would anybody consider throwing Hart in there? Because that second period was bad, but I mean that overtime was great.
No, there's other guys you can give it to.
I'm not. I was asking
what
if you
would.
Doing?
No.
I said, would you?
You said no. You got to overtime because of the second period.
Right. I wouldn't, but I would show so much for how his overtime went. Like, it's not about a game anymore. It's about the season. He's your starting goaltender, and Martin Jones is his backup. So that alone, to have him come back for a guy who does not come back well after like how last year went, was just so important for this season.
I mean,
so are you saying you give him a pity
stars on more like morale?
No, I said no, but it was impressive to see.
I was about to say, just give him one, just like a little doggy treat, and here you go. Good job. You kind of deserve this for 4 out of the 3, or for 3 out of the 4.
Let me ask you a question, seriously. The way that second period went, you don't think it was amazing for Carter Hart for the season, and for him I'm not saying he's the greatest player or anything but that game and the way that second period went had the potential to have Hart feel the same way he did all last year, because that's exactly how that game went. It was reminiscent of last year. What wasn't reminiscent of last year was his play in crunch time. And I felt to him for the rest of this season, that is huge, because he's your starting goalie. If he doesn't play well, season's over. There's no way they're getting by with Martin Jones.
Yeah, I'm not denying that it wasn't significant.
Seeing that comeback in overtime, I thought was very, very important. Extremely important.
You mean especially when Pettersson went 5-hole on him? If his mind wasn't there, he would have never made that save.
And this is
and on the backdoor play too.
To me, that was fantastic. And the season, I literally could see the season ending in the first game of the season if Hart is going to already have the same mindset he did last year. And there's no getting out of that. Now we're looking at his career at this point. Like, wow, this is just who he is. He can't get out of his own head. It's unbelievable. And he plays fantastic in crunch time like that. We needed that. Listen, we even got a point. Even if we didn't get a point, it's more important that Hart's head is on straight and he's playing his game, because there is no backup plan. And we're going to go in an entire whole season not watching competitive hockey. Like, no, that was huge to see. Win or loss, that was huge.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not denying that. It's very significant that he came back and played well in the third and overtime. But that wasn't your question. You asked if he was a 3 stars. I said no.
I mean, like, Connected came back and played well for 2 minutes. You still
goaltending is way more important. Like, if he's out,
I'm not denying it was, but you asked about 3 stars.
Right, and I said because I didn't say I'd do it, but I'm asking you, where's Hart on your list? Because in the second period he was at the bottom, but that overtime and what it means for the season was huge. So what his overall play of the game, is it in 3 stars? No, probably not. But I posed the question: is anybody crazy enough to put him that high? That's why I asked you, and I didn't say anything. I asked you. I didn't tell you I did. I asked you.
Well, if he's not in the 3 stars, I know he's not.
Well, then put Yandle up there. Yandle had a pretty big gaff, if you ask me. Now, I wouldn't put Hart over him, but Hart's much more important to this team than Yandle is.
Yandle's play led to two goals. He led to the Konechny goal, and he led to the
Konechny was
the Atkinson goal.
No, you talk about
those are those are. He was responsible for those 2 goals. He kept the puck in. He got it around net for the Atkinson goal, and then he did a slap pass to Couturier.
The 3rd star. That's fine.
Damn it,
well,
Jim, or Jack. I called you Jim. That's how mad I was.
He had a mistake, and so did Hart. Hart's obviously bigger, but he's more important to the team. That's literally all I'm saying.
But But I don't think you picked someone who had a glaringly huge mistake, and I think on that one goal, Yandel did. I mean, I'd pick someone like Ellis.
That's what I'm saying. Who had a more perfectly round game? And I know Yandel was
no
huge.
Yandel, no Hart. We're going Ellis. Those are the three stars.
I was never going Hart. I was never going Hart. But I think
great discussion.
Ellis was strong. I had read a tweet in the first period that somebody thought he got hurt, and he was aching behind the net after the first period.
Oh, could you imagine?
You got to be kidding me! Here we go again. But yeah, so debate with the 3 stars. I didn't think that would go that long. Ultimately, I saw this game as being an early indicator of whether we're going to be more like last year or this year, which is why we made all the moves. And for a while, I felt like, wow, we made all those moves for one period. Like, great. That was phenomenal. Right back to our old ways. So to see the way the game played out, at least there's definitely some hope there. Maybe this is a different game if they're not so unlucky. But Nat, I'll go to you first. Just final thoughts.
You know what? I think it's weird that why don't we just have to start off with Western teams? I would like to see us on our element to start off the season.
That's a good point.
Thank God it's not a 10 o'clock game this time around.
Should be noted that Vancouver's been playing too. Like, this is our first game. They got a game or two in. They're like, they didn't look like it in the first period. It looked like we were more ready shape to go, but maybe over the length of the game it showed a little bit.
And the things that we were looking for, like Risto, who we never got to see in the first game. So
I can't wait until he plays Monday.
So I'm not concerned, because it was just, again, but then we said that all last season. Oh, if it wasn't for that period,
Yeah. And they were
but
bad.
I think the first period was so good and so different from anything that we have seen in so long that I think that there's a lot to look forward to coming up.
Yeah, and I think we're all pretty much in agreement that if those 2 fluky goals, bad luck really. Fluky's one thing, bad luck's a complete other. Don't happen. This is a different third period, and then maybe they play stronger the entire period, not just at the tail end, which I think is more of a vindication of how the team will be going forward. I don't think we're going to be this come from behind team, grasping for straws, which would be a step up from their blowouts last year. But I actually think they can come in and beat teams in regulation and be in control of the game for the most part. This was just a weird set of unfortunate events that kind of sent the game spiraling for a bit. And I do think they're better than this. And we didn't really note how many guys were out. No Ristolainen, no Hayes, no
Allison.
Who else is out? Allison, that's the main one. That's the one I was trying to think of, Allison, and a couple other nicked up ones as well. So, that's all I really got on the game. Johnny, final thoughts?
If we lose to Dave Haxtell and the Seattle Kraken, I'm never coming back on this show again. I'm sorry to ruin all your positivity now.
No, because I agree with you. I full-heartedly agree with you. It's like, please, not Haxtell. Please, we went through too much to have him come in with a expansion team. And I know they won the other night, but
I don't think there's any one more man that has traumatized my life in the last decade than Dave Haxtell.
Yeah, it was a bad.
That's such a lie. That is such an exaggeration, and that's not at all true. But still, it feels like.
I think you're not far off either.
After last season, I forgot about Haxtell, quite honestly.
That's a good point. And that's true. He wasn't there last year.
Never forget.
He was completely out of it. That's funny. Yeah. No, I'll never forget about Haxtell, but it's a really good point about last year. Was it really as bad as anything Haxtell did as bad as last year? Longer, sure. He was here for quite a while, but last year was the worst season in Flyers franchise history, if you ask me. All right. Well,
I just don't know how I face. I just don't know how I face the public if we lose to Dave Haxtell.
I hear you there, but hey, they get a point tonight. Maybe it comes in handy down the road. Showed some heart tonight. I'm Jack _HW Radio. With me is Natty Fink and Flyers Johnny. Guys, thanks for joining me for this. We pretty much went a podcast here a whole hour. I want to thank you both for joining me a little bit late as I had Verizon problems. I had to run over to my mom's. Last time I watched a Flyers game with my mom's, I think I was in early college. Anyway, other than that, guys, have a nice night. Thanks for joining me.